Hey, what is up, guys? Nick 2025 here, and it's been a while, but how's it going? It's like I said, it's been a while, but we're here, we're back, and we're making some interesting content. And I know I'm a little late to the party, but I think a little, everyone's a little late to the party eventually, especially when it comes to this. So recently, I was enjoying all the new content that we've been getting in terms of gameplay reveals for, Black Ops 6 Zombies, and I'm very excited to announce that I will most definitely try to make more content on it. I have a couple ideas turning in my head, and I think that this is something that I want to keep doing, and I'll talk about it more towards the end of the video, but there's a couple ideas up my sleeve. But today in particular, I wanted to talk about one thing that has crossed my mind, and that is the fact that somehow, some way, Vanguard Zombies might have actually paved a small update, I would say, or small gameplay feature in Black Ops 6. And I know what you're going to say, but Nick, Vanguard was probably the worst piece of Zombies media to ever exist. And I'm like, well, yeah, you're probably right. And, I might have grinded Dark Ether, as you can see on the video, but that doesn't really mean that I enjoyed it. We'll go with that. But yes, Vanguard was kind of one of those things that was not really well received by the community, but it was one of those games that kind of paved a way for future content. Whether that be testing the waters on the engine, because if you really think about it, this was technically our first glimpse at what zombies in round base, thanks to Shi No Numa, could look like in the future. And now that everything's on a more refined engine, like a more refined version of this, it feels like we're going into a new step that makes zombies better. And I know that's saying it's going to take a lot of balls to say, to be honest, and I get it. But truthfully, I think that putting zombies on this engine has been great, because it opens up a lot of new possibilities to make things feel grounded and realistic, but also keeping that zombies aspect that we have come to know from like the Dark Ether story, whether that be with cutscenes and stuff like that. Because for one, Modern Warfare Zombies had cutscenes. That's insane. The only cutscenes that we had in Vanguard were slideshow pictures, and we didn't have that since Black Ops 4. In Cold War, we never really had like CGI cutscenes. It was mainly just in-game cutscenes that our characters would be moving around, so there was not much talking. We kind of let everyone else talk, because obviously playing as operators, there's not much room to talk in. And I think that pushing this into the new engine is probably the best idea they could have done, because sitting on the old engine for so long definitely raises a bunch of issues, from whether that be the ability to actually push things to their limits, because the systems are getting old and outdated. So putting it on a newer platform makes it better. But we're not here to just talk about the engine the entire time. We're here to talk about gameplay mechanics that are supposed to be coming to Black Ops 6. So I wanted to talk about the fact that augments are coming to the game. Augments, as far as I know, seem to be like miniature upgrades. And, every game you play, instead of earning crystals like Cold War and upgrading all your abilities, augments seem to be a thing in-game that you'll just be able to earn over time. So let's say you buy Juggernaut, and from what I know, is it'll make your ability turn into Dying Wish from Black Ops 4. So after getting a major upgrade, I guess, because supposedly there's 3 major upgrades and 3 minor upgrades, and I'm assuming making Juggernaut into Dying Wish will probably be a major update. And if you don't remember what Dying Wish does, it pretty much made it to where you were able to survive like an additional 5 seconds, I want to say, after you got down to 1 HP. So you had 200 HP in Black Ops 4. If you got hit all the way down to 1 HP, you would stay at 1 HP for 5 seconds, and you would pretty much be invincible. You wouldn't be invisible, you would just be invincible. So they would slap you many times as they want. Pause. but they would slap you as many times as they want, and you wouldn't take any damage. And it was honestly one of those crutch perks that a lot of people don't really talk about. I mean, I've seen a lot of zombies YouTubers talk about it, and I, for one, know that it's a crutch perk, considering I use it. But it needs to be studied more, because the fact that that was a perk was insane. And I think if you turned it into the fourth perk on Black Ops 4, it made it even better, from what I know. So it really does. It really was a crazy perk. We'll just go with that. So, why am I talking about augments? Why am I speaking on augments? And why is Vanguard playing in the background? And why am I saying that Vanguard might have paved the way for future content? Because if you notice, when I say augments and the fact that you'll be able to earn them in-game just by playing and buying stuff, doesn't that sound a little familiar? Doesn't that sound like something that we've seen in a prior game? Now, of course, most of these upgrade abilities seem to be stemming from Cold War itself, but for the most part, this idea seems to come from Vanguard zombies, out of all places. The augments are just another way of saying that you have covenants. And if you remember the covenants, for people who actually played the game, it was one of those things where every 3 rounds you would earn a sacrificial heart. You can use that heart to then upgrade your abilities in the game. And if you saw in the gameplay earlier, and I will pop it up on the screen, you can see that you can use a sacrificial heart to get 3 different covenants. 3 different abilities, whether that be for your gun, for your character, for the zombies itself, or anything. It really stems down to what they really had. And they had a good variety for a while, but they kind of slowly started dimming it down, and they didn't add as much. And sure, most of these are technically perks, like the Deadshot one that I have equipped. It's pretty much just a Deadshot daiquiri perk, because the actual Deadshot perk in this game was Diabolical Damage, I'm pretty sure it's what it's called. And all it did was increase headshot damage, from what I remember. So, combining that, though, and combining the pair does make it a bit overpowered, which is great, but I don't think you'd have to make a separate perk and then have an ability separately. I think it should just be built into it, because that's usually how perks go. Because, you know, they stripped all the abilities for these perks in Vanguard, because there was not time to work on it, which is understandable. But anyway, it seems like these covenants that we've had in Vanguard paved the way for something that nobody was really expecting to happen, because people are looking at these augments like, oh, these are just cool abilities, like the ability to make PhD Flopper turn back into PhD Slider from Cold War. And that in and of itself is an insane concept, because sure, it was pretty much already like that in Cold War, except there was no ability to do dolphin diving. So then when dolphin diving got added back into Modern Warfare, we were like, man, I wonder if that means PhD Flopper will come back. And Modern Warfare Zombies proved us right. We had the original PhD Flopper. And sure, people don't really use it as PhD Flopper. They kind of just use it to resist explosive and fire damage. But the concept is cool. Obviously, in a bigger map, it's kind of overrated, because, again, realistically, the only thing you would use it for is explosions, which would be from score streaks, or fire damage from those dogs, which are super annoying because they'll explode on impact. But being able to turn PhD Flopper into PhD Slider in Black Ops 6 sounds incredible, because the sliding ability that you had in Cold War that would push you like 20 meters ahead of everything else, it was such an insane concept that I don't think anyone really saw coming. They were like, why is PhD coming back? I mean, it's cool, but why is it PhD Slider and not PhD Flopper? But I think over time it kind of grew on people, and then when they did get rid of it, it's like, well, now I want PhD Slider, not PhD Flopper, because PhD Flopper doesn't seem to be as good as PhD Slider. And if you're a veteran, I know you'll probably get mad at me for that. But realistically, besides what I just listed about its actual uses, you know, it wasn't really good for transportation. And combining stamina up with PhD Slider felt like the best thing in the world in Cold War. So it really made you move around the map fast. Considering how big Terminus is going to be, I have no doubt that it will help you a lot when you go for that upgrade. And it's not just PhD, there's clearly other abilities, like in the video that they listed on their intel drop, which I will link in the video, in the, the comments, you get the point. The COD intel drop that they gave us said that you'll be able to turn energy mine into the equivalent of how I perceive it as a stasis turret from Destiny 2. And if you're not familiar with Destiny 2, like for me, I'm not a big veteran or anything. I'm kind of a new player, but my friend Notch, he's very into the game, and he helped me get this build. And it's this thing where you pretty much spawn a stasis turret, and stasis is like the equivalent of ice in the game. But pretty much with these gloves and with certain abilities on your armor, you can spawn in a stasis turret that freezes enemies, and you'll also have this orb that flies around your screen, kind of similar to that of like the Cerberus from Cold War, except it auto shoots for you. You don't have to shoot your gun in order for the orb to shoot back. It'll just auto shoot for you while going around your screen pretty much, and it's really, really good. Now, what this seems to be in the COD intel drop that they showed off, it turns energy mine into that stasis turret. And it doesn't turn it into just one, it turns it into 3 turrets. Picture the orbs, the electric orbs from Dead Ops Arcade, floating around you in 3 different, orbs, of course. And it'll spin around you. And from what they listed and what we saw, it literally will explode if they get in the circle radius, so it's already much better than the electricity orb thingy from Dead Ops, and it also will shoot for you. And I don't know if it'll explode and shoot at the same time, or you have to get the upgrades to then just have one over the other, but for the most part, either way, it's still a pretty big upgrade. The fact that you're able to turn energy mine, something that you just throw on the floor and that doesn't move, into something that moves around you, but in a pair of 3, and then turning it into shooting turrets, yeah. I don't know about you, but that sounds amazing. Like, it sounds insane. It's just talking about it makes me sound insane. Like, it really makes no sense. But that's the joy of Black Ops 6 and how much time they really put into this game. Now, again, coming back to Vanguard had not as cool as abilities as what Black Ops 6 seems to be listing, but again, the idea seems to be there, and I'm glad they fleshed it out, because from my understanding, everything you buy or own will have an upgrade. So let's say you buy Juggernaut, you play around, and then it'll give you the opportunity to get either a minor or major upgrade for the rest of that game. So that means that you'll be able to upgrade it into something crazy. So you can upgrade Jug into, like, again, Dying Wish for the rest of the game. And I don't know if it'll stay throughout the next game, because they did say permanent upgrades, but at the same time, if there's minor augments and major augments, it just makes it seem like one of those things where they don't stay throughout each game. Or maybe the minor augments are similar to that of the Covenants, where you're able to change it. I'm assuming the permanent ones, so being able to turn Juggernaut into Dying Wish, being a major one, I'm assuming that'll be a permanent upgrade for the rest of the game. But the minor ones you can tweak around with and see what you want to experiment with, which is always nice. But that comes back full circle to what Vanguard Zombies had, because Vanguard Zombies allowed you to get the sacrificial hearts, and every round you would be able to, like, if you had a heart extra, on hands, you would be able to change your covenants to whatever you wanted, as long as you had a sacrificial heart. And I don't think the sacrificial hearts are coming back with these augments, because as far as I know, you just earn them in game by playing, which is great, by the way. I mean, I'm glad you don't need to wait like 3 rounds to do it, but knowing them, it'll probably be something similar to that, because if you were able to get an upgrade every round, it would kind of be overpowered. And I think they want you to play in terms of long term, especially since I know that they said higher rounds would be harder, so you kind of want to see if you can get those abilities as fast as you can. So they want you to play throughout the game and see what works for you, and so on and so forth. But I just think it's a cool concept that they introduced in Vanguard, despite being such a weird game. And I think it's cool that they're trying to not disregard Vanguard. Like, they don't talk about it really at all in terms of the story, because after Cold War, to get Modern Warfare Zombies, we need something in between those, which is where Black Ops 6 comes into play. But Modern Warfare Zombies doesn't really, or not Modern Warfare Zombies, sorry, Vanguard Zombies doesn't really have a part between all that because it takes place before Cold War. And obviously it released after Cold War, which is very weird because the timeline setting is all jumbled in the real world. Unfortunately, we can't go back in time like in the games, essentially. But yeah, so I just think in general that bringing Vanguard mechanics is probably the best thing they could do for this game because even though it had its downsides, it still had a player base. And that player base was probably disappointed, especially for the ones who loved the objective mode, which is very hard to say and hard to understand. But there are people out there who did really enjoy the objective mode. And every time I go on this game and I play public match, sometimes it takes a bit longer to find a round-based game either on the Archon or on Shinonuma, for example, despite it being the best map of this respective game. Every time I load into one of those, it takes longer on the round-based stuff. But when I go to the objective stuff like Terra Maledicta or Darun Fung, it's very easy to find. It was so simple. And so clearly there was a player base, and I feel really bad for the people who just kind of lost it all. But it really makes me wonder if they're trying they're trying to bring this back because they want to bring that player base over to Black Ops 6. And Covenants wouldn't just be the main reason. If they did have an objective mode, I'm sure that would be a reason to get players back on. But obviously, for the time being, bringing a Vanguard mechanic back from something that people liked from Vanguard is always a good thing. And it also adds a lot of replayability to the game. Because while Cold War was good in terms of earning crystals, it kind of lacked in the replayability after that. Your games were kind of always the same after you achieved every single upgrade. Like, I have all the upgrades, and sure, I have fun playing, but after a while, and after you do the Easter egg like a billion times, there's really nothing to do anymore after you have all the upgrades. But with Vanguard, it seems like they wanted to experiment with the idea of replaying over and over to get new abilities. And the fact that there's over 100 divided by like several perks and several field upgrades, it really adds more replayability to the game and gives us a strong replayability factor for the future of the game. And I can't wait to see how that gets fleshed out. And apparently they're going to be adding more. So it's not just going to be a one-off thing where they just add a bunch in the beginning of the game. They'll add more, similar to Vanguard. So we could have a whole update without a round-based zombies map. And instead, we'll have a bunch of stuff to experiment with. And then we can prepare for that next map. So it really does add a great mechanic and a great feature, and I'm honestly kind of happy they did this, because as much as I don't like talking about Vanguard, because it's definitely not one of those games that stood out to me, this mechanic for me was honestly really fun to use. And I even got to round 100 on this game, which I know that's hard to believe, but I got to round 100 on this game all because of the 3 abilities that I was able to use. And it really helped in the long term. It had some fun concepts, and I'm glad they're able to flesh that out in Black Ops 6 and not just leave it out as a one-off thing like they have in other games, like if they brought mechanics from Black Ops 2 into Black Ops 3, but then the other ones were left out. It just, in general, I'm just glad. And I hope that they can flesh more things out from these older games and try to experiment more, because it is the Dark Ether universe. It's still taking place in the Ether universe, but I think that this gives them more breathing room to experiment with more than just the idea of covenants. You know what I mean? So, in general, what do I think? What do I think that is going to happen? Like, how is this going to affect Black Ops 6? I think it'll affect it in a great way, and I can't wait to see what happens. It just, again, it makes me very excited for the future of Black Ops 6, and I'm happy to say that Vanguard, for once, makes something really good and something that's already arguably probably good. It's a very mixed opinion right now, definitely because of Vanguard, but I think Vanguard has its moments. And I'm happy to say that, because I don't want a zombies experience to be bad. Nobody does. But, when you have situations, of course the game might be bad. But when you have good gameplay mechanics, it definitely can have a toll on the future of games. So I'm very excited to see that Covenants are coming back in some form. But other than that, that's pretty much all there is. I mean, besides the other stuff, like other updates and stuff. And I know I'm late to the party in terms of actually talking about this, but I haven't really seen anyone mention that Vanguard kind of paved the way for this game, because I'm sure that nobody's going to click on a Vanguard centered video. And I'm sure not a lot of people will want to click on this one. But if they do, then I'm happy, because it gives a broader demographic to people who don't even realize that this is something that's coming to the next game, and they need to understand that it'll help them out in the long run. And they need to understand that while Vanguard might be bad for them, it could be great for other players, and maybe you should give it a chance. So that's pretty much all I'm trying to say. It's just Vanguard has its ups and downs, and I want everyone to at least give it a fair shot. If you have the game, play it once more and look at what I'm talking about. Experiment with everything you want to experiment with to prepare for Black Ops 6. Because I've been playing a lot of Cold War and a lot of Vanguard to prepare, and I can say that Vanguard pretty much has some great mechanics that seem to be coming to the next game, and that makes me proud. Makes me happy. And I'm sure Treyarch is very happy to share all these moments with us. So I think that pretty much covers it, though. And what I wanted to talk about, like I said at the beginning of my video, I really wanted to talk about the future of the channel. And I know I talk about that a lot, but the fact that I'm making a video in less than a year's time is saying something. It's saying that I want to try. And I definitely do. I changed the logo of my channel after so many years. I also changed the banner, which you'll also see at the end intro if you stick around and watch the rest of the video, which is probably just going to be the rest of the gameplay, but you'll get the idea. So I think I want this channel to be focused on zombies content for the future. And I know that doesn't say much because, you know, that's something I said in my Modern Warfare Zombies video, and I didn't really make anything else besides the one crossbow video. But it was just a weird moment, and I mean, I could have made content on it, but I just decided not to, and I think that's fine. But in Black Ops 6, I have a couple ideas. You can expect me to probably make videos on my first reactions to maps, my first reactions to updates, and maybe some reactions to gameplay trailers, depending on if I'm able to do that. And I really want to bring more zombies content to the channel because it's something that I love and something that I'm passionate about. And you already know that I'll probably be getting the camo, so I can talk about my camo grind and everything, and it'll be fun. So I don't want to just live stream. I definitely want to make some videos. Maybe I'll make some Easter egg guides on the way, and you know, even with the guided mode coming out, it's always nice to have some early access to some free items if you were to, you know, get that out of the way. But I am very excited for Black Ops 6, and I'm very excited for the future of this channel, and I really hope that you guys will all enjoy my fresh new updates and takes on this channel, because it really makes me proud of the work I've done, and I'm really hoping to take this into a new direction. So thank you all for sticking around, even when the times where I haven't. It really makes me, you know, even for a smaller audience, it really makes me happy. And I want to take this channel and grow it into something that could be better for the future of content in general and just zombies content. Because everything has been a bit weird recently with controversies. And I don't want to get into that because personally, I don't know them. So it's all up to public opinion at this point. But yeah, I think we could do something with this, and I'm very proud to say that. I'm very happy to say that, and I really hope that you'll join me along the journey for Black Ops 6 and just future zombies content in general. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy the rest of this video, and it's just going to be me pretty much exfilling, but I hope you enjoy the rest of the video, and I hope you enjoy my new intro, my new outro, and my new logos. So without further ado, this is Nick2025, and I'm signing off. Peace.
We just clowning around here. Step off, maggot motherfucker. Get your ass around here with that bull.
a rune gate.
When the rift portal opens, get there as quick as you can.
9 special forces. 9. I will not let you rest. Divine gives nobody easy way out.
Start digging your grave, homie.
You're safe. Ah, fantastisch. Rest now.